I'm talking to you.
Hello, world. Welcome to the next episode of the Root Zone podcast. I am your host, Christopher Stout. Sometimes when I say Chris Stout, it sounds like one name.
I just had that issue. We were coming up with names for my recently born child, and one of the names we liked was Noah. But our last name is O'Brien, is Noah O'Brien, and it felt like you had to hit Noah and then reset O'Brien.
Yeah.
It doesn't flow.
Doesn't flow. It's my son is Jack, so Jack Stout.
Jack Stout, great flow.
Detective Jack Stout. We call him. Yeah. Well, anyway, listen. Welcome to the Root Zone podcast. We are here. I don't know. I stopped counting the episodes because I was planning on doing this every 2 weeks, but life gets in the way, and now we're going to record it. We are live right now, so we can look into the cameras, which is pretty cool.
This is your first time doing video?
First time ever doing
cast.
Yes.
Love it.
So I'm honored to have this next guest, Luke O'Brien. O'Brien with an E.
Yes.
I always spell it wrong.
And an apostrophe.
Yep. I'm kind of a fanboy. My wife's going to listen to this and be like, you're such a loser.
You did it. You did it. You said you're a fanboy.
I am. I did. I'm going to say it out loud because I don't care. So we met Luke. I met Luke through mutual friend Chris Lerch. We had Chris Lerch on the podcast. If you didn't listen to that podcast, you should. It was a lot of information about social media and Facebook and Instagram and how he markets, and it's a great episode. But I met Luke through Chris, and you were doing some media for Chris, right? Is that how you guys met?
Yeah. I think he noticed a little shift in the Sly Fox beer Instagram page, and I was responsible for that. I took over their social media, and I started shooting a lot of these high res photos and produced videos. And he DM'd the Sly Fox beer page and was like, "Hey, who's doing that?" And I was like, "That's me, Luke." And he was like, "I want to take you to lunch." And we got lunch, and now we're besties.
That's crazy.
So he started, with all his relationships with businesses such as yours and many others in this area, he started bringing me out to do photo and video work for them. And that's how.
Well, let's back up here, because I love jumping in right into a conversation. I could go right from there, but let's get a little history on who you are. Mm-hmm. You're a family man. You have 3 children now?
Yes, as of 3 weeks ago. Yeah, she's 3 weeks today. My daughter June. Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Being a father is the greatest joy I've ever had.
It's the best. And then I've got Owen, who's a little over 1, and Olive, who is 4.
4. Because that's what I was trying to think of, the timeline and how long I've known you. Probably about a year now, a little more maybe. And I remember you having a newborn when we first met. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, I remember Olive.
Which wasn't long ago.
And then I was like...
It was about 16 months ago.
And then we shot a video early spring, and you're like, yeah, my wife's about 6 months, whatever it was, pregnant. I was like, oh, boy.
Again?
I was like, good for you, Luke, but that's going to be close.
It's close. The past 3 weeks have been definitely an adjustment phase, but it's beautiful, man. I'm actively trying to pick up on the things that I'm going to miss one day, and where I'm going to look back on and be like, remember, because right now Owen is just sleeping. He's out of a crib. He just doesn't, he's just a climber, and we're like, you're not going in a crib. And we just have him on this little pad in in his room with Ollie. And in the middle of the night when he cries, I go in and lay on this little pad with him, and it's a hilarious setup. If you were a fly on the wall watching me.
It's parenting. No one recommends letting your son sleep on a mat.
Right.
But you know what?
It's
what works,
so
what works.
Cute. And I know in 15 years when he wants nothing to do with me, I'm gonna be like, you used to sleep on the little pad with me.
Well, I'm sure Olive's getting not getting like that, but she's 4, right? So with me and Sammy, it's she's so cute, and she hugs me, and she does all this stuff, but it's starting to fade away.
Mm-hmm. I'm feeling it too.
It's not as come to me as it used to be.
No, I know.
But anyway, we're talking about sad.
I know.
Good, happy and sad things. Well, so family man, and Luke was nice enough to come help produce this. So we are alive. Then Luke's help him film this, and
Well, it was great because I was going to be filming today, just filming, not sitting in this seat. And last night you're like, hey, my 9 a.m. or my 10 a.m. canceled. Like, do you want to be the guest?
Yeah.
Or you said I could call someone else unless you want to be. I was like, don't call anyone.
This worked out perfect because
I'll sit in.
As soon as you said that, my brain was like, boom. Wow, what a great guest. Because we'll get into it, but not pizza, drink not pizza. We'll get into that in a little bit because that's a new small business venture that you're on, and that's exactly what this podcast is about and how you're going to do it and what you're doing and what your vision is. But so you are also a musician.
Yes.
I would call it.
Yes.
I wanted to dive a little bit into that, and I was lucky enough to go to a show in Phoenixville a couple months ago.
Such a good show.
Such a fun show. Again, my wife was like, "You're going to a concert. You've been to 3 concerts your whole life. Nas at the Electric Factory, Eminem somewhere in Jersey, and now you're going to see Luke.
It's a great
O'Brien."
lineup. I'm happy to be grouped in with those two amazing artists.
And she's like, "You're not a concert guy." I was like, "I know, but I want to support local, and I'm not any way, shape, or form confined to any music genre at all." Yeah. And so I was like, this will be fun. I knew Avanti Plumbing was going to be there. I know Chris Lerch was going to be there. I was like, we'll have a couple beers. And to be honest with you, like I said, I became a fanboy. I love your music. I think you're super talented.
Thanks,
I think
man.
what you do is a lot of your songs are the way I used to like listen to songs, like had some soul to them, had some meaning to them. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciate that. So,
dude, thank you so much. That's what I'm trying to do. What I've always tried to do with my music is like really write from here. You know what I mean? Like write what you know is a saying in the writing world, and just trying to share my story and my perspective on the world, and I'm happy that it translates. And I was so happy after that night because just like you said, Avanti Plumbing was there, Chris was there, I had cousins there, I had some of my children there, my family, friends I had 9 friends that I graduated college with who we went to school in Baltimore, and now they're spread out all over the country.
Yeah,
they came in for the show. Like, it almost felt like a wedding or something.
Yeah. Or a funeral. Or one of the two.
The end of my music career.
Yeah, it could have went either way.
Like, this is my last concert. Thank you all for coming out and wearing all black for this show. In a way, it did kind of feel like that for me, though, because I was like, I'm about to have my 3rd kid. Like, I'm already not writing and recording and performing as much as I used to, because there was a time from like 2009 until 2019 where I was like, I am going to be on the big stages. I'm going to be headlining the festivals. Like, that was my vision for myself as an artist. I wanted to be a household name, making really big songs that had this positive message, and I saw it, and I was very passionate and into that. I think it's okay to change goals, right? Because I had a child and I started my own business, and I kind of consciously picked up music and I put it on the back burner, and I was like, I'm allowed to do this. Like, just because 22-year-old me was like, I'm going to be a superstar,
rock star, doesn't
mean that like 32-year-old me agrees.
Yeah.
Excuse me one second.
Yeah. Was that, I feel like I want to say that you were giving up on a dream, but I don't think it falls in that category. It was almost like for you, that's what your dream was in that age, right?
Right.
As you grow, your experiences change, your family changes, everything changes. That's one of the main reasons I've been through 3 different careers in my life is because of how I was when I was in my 20s, how I was when I was in my 30s, and now how I am in my early 40s. It's how it progressed.
We evolve.
Yeah.
And
so that was like when I remember when you did the show, I saw you the next time when you did the video. I was like, when are you doing your next show?
Yeah.
Because I was pumped. I'm like, I'm going to take my wife, my kids sing your songs now. Like, I'm bringing my kids, and you're like, it's like just. This is what I do. You're not going to see me at a bar. I'm like, I was disappointed, but then I was like, I think back, I'm like, okay, that's his. He doesn't want to go do snow removal in the wintertime and leave his kids for hours and nights at a time, and that's what I was doing, And it's not. I don't know how it correlates, but it seems like you chose that path, what you're doing now, because of.
Yeah, for me, like, I love writing and it's super fun, but I was never never viewed myself, and still don't view myself as a great business person, business minded. I have a great creative brain, but I need sort of like partnerships and other people to mentor me and guide me into like, here's how you set your price, and like here's how you like not give everything away because you like someone, you know. And so but music was always like this sacred thing for me, where like I never really made money off of it. Like we would play a show and maybe get, you know, paid up front, or we would sell tickets and we get like a couple $100 after a show. But the interesting thing about music too is like you're not selling a product, you're uploading a song to a streaming platform, right? You used to sell CDs. And now you have a physical product. You? Yes, when I first started making music.
That's awesome.
Because I first started in like 2009, like there was MySpace, and you would play a show and you'd have a table with CDs. And people still do that, but like car manufacturers aren't even putting CD players in cars anymore, you know? So it's like the first thing you ask someone is, it used to be, oh, you're a musician, do you have a CD?
Yeah.
Now it's, oh, are you on Spotify?
Oh, yeah.
You know? But Spotify, like, some people have cracked the code and they've been able to, you know, upload songs consistently and also be an influencer on TikTok and Instagram as a musician being their main thing. And so they can get millions of streams, which I think generates some revenue. But then there's also like, you know,
exposure.
Yeah, like or deal brands and things like that. And I just never cracked that code or never had the business acumen to be like, oh, here's how I can take this talent and monetize it. Yeah. And so I felt like I missed that boat a little bit. And I feel like that maybe is for the best, because music is still that sacred thing for me, where like now when I do it,
it's still a passion, not a job.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. If that 22-year-old dream, if I was living that right now and touring the world and providing for my family off of it, I'd be very content. You know?
But what is do you ever, you know, you can go on iTunes right now and I downloaded all your music. Do you ever have that thought in the back of your head, like one of these songs could go viral and I could get, you know, the views that I never worked for or never had, or the downloads you always wanted, right? Is that a thought? Do you throw it out there like that?
Yeah, but again, like views, streams, they don't really add up to dollars that much. The thing I think that like if you are a musician, you have to go on tour and play shows where you're selling a lot of tickets. But then you're away from your family. Yeah. And when you're out on that tour, you have to sell some merchandise too. Like those are the two like very like visible revenue streams within the world of music. It doesn't seem to be streaming, ironically enough, is not a revenue stream. Maybe I'm wrong. But
that's upsetting then.
Yeah. Because I have a couple songs.
The actual passion, the actual work doesn't get the money.
Yeah, Spotify, you know, and this is a big thing like in the music industry. People are like, artists are being robbed because, it kind of sucks. Like I have a couple songs. I have at least 2 songs on Spotify with almost 800,000 streams, and those are organic streams. Like I've never paid to be on any playlists or anything like that. When I did the Old Love music video, that got picked up by like a really like poppin' playlist, and it shows because I have 800,000 streams. But that I've gotten a couple like checks for that, but like they've been like, you know, $800 here, and then like maybe the next month like a couple $100. But unless you're getting like 500 million streams, then I think then you're in the space where like it's paying out. But for smaller independent artists just starting, like you know you do have to wait tables as well, or something.
So music, and then that kind of leads me to how we like got involved. Now your present day job is I would call you a media mogul. I don't know. You're a creative you're a content creator. I don't, what you describe it.
Yeah, when I first started my business in 2020, I was in education. I was working at a school in Philadelphia. Do you know this about me?
Yep, that's what I have it written down right here. I want to say you used to be a teacher.
Yeah, I was teaching at a behavior and emotional support school in Philadelphia, And I was really lucky. I got this job as just sort of like a general counselor at the school, because it's a school for kids who have been removed from their primary schools because they need some extra support. They're dealing with all types of things at home and in their neighborhoods, and they do have some anger. They do have a lot of issues, and they're all justified. And my role there as a general counselor was to be a mentor and a friend and to try to help them cope with the things that they were going through. And I really loved that, as you can see. And my supervisor was kind enough and had the wherewithal to be like, Luke, you're so creative with the kids, and you're clearly passionate about this. I want to give you your own classroom, blank slate, do whatever you want. You're the music and art guy. And I was like,
Whoa.
Sick.
Yeah.
And so for 4 years I did that, and I basically just built a recording studio in my classroom, and we would remix like the most recent Cardi B song to be about respect and accountability instead of what it was previously about. And then we would shoot music videos. And the school said to me, like, what could we do to elevate what it is that you're doing? Because it's a huge selling point, frankly. When we bring people on tours, it's like, okay, here's a classroom, here's Mr. Luke's room, And like,
these are where the kids are actually going to learn something. Yeah.
And the kids looked forward to it. And like, it really helped me build like incredible relationships. My wife and I were foster parents to one of my students for a year. We're like, that's how much I loved these kids. And a lot of them now are hitting me up on Instagram like, Mr. Luke, it's been so long. And they're like 19, they're like 20, 22. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I love it. And so anyway, so the school asked me what could we do to elevate it. And I said I could use a nicer camera. I was just shooting on something that was pretty low quality at the time. I was shooting weddings on the weekends here and there. So they bought me a new camera and a gimbal. And I was like, oh, this is so great. And then I was doing my thing, and the pandemic hit, and we had Ollie, and I made the decision, I'm going to take the leap and start my business and see what I can do with this camera. And the school was like, just take it with you, because we wouldn't even know what to do with it, and you've like done such a good job. So I'm forever grateful to them for like, blessing me with this great piece of equipment.
Well, first, I think that's amazing that what you did for those kids. Like, I mean, that takes a special person to deal with that kind of trauma, that kind of anxiety, that kind of issues, and kudos to you for diving into it. And it kind of makes me think, like, it just makes me sad for what my kids are going to grow up going to school and doing, and sitting in the classroom and reading a history book instead of being in a shop class or being in a music class, and I know they still do it, but they don't do it. Like,
I talk with my good friend about this a lot, because he now has a kid and one on the way, and like, is the education system, like the public school education system, is it really great? Like, sit here, take this test, compare yourself to the kid next to you who got the A. Yeah.
I felt like a piece of shit all through my whole.
Me too. I was a horrible student. And I was like, and I always felt, and to this day, I think it still sits with me that I think I'm dumb. My wife goes, stop doing that. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not book smart. I never was book smart. And I'm not a good reader. I'm not a good speller. I was never an A student, right? Me either.
In any subject, really. I was better at math because I have a math brain, I think. But it just makes me sad to see, like, Jack's pretty smart, but he's really tiny. Could he get, it's just so regimented, and it compares these kids to each other, which makes no sense. And because some people are good at some things, and some,
and here you are running your own successful business, right? So you're not dumb.
I'm hoping I'm not dumb.
You're definitely not dumb.
I like to say I'm like street smart. I tell that to my wife all the time. I think people are blessed with two types of smarts. They're book smarts or street smarts, and there's a lot of people that blend them very well. Yeah. But I think everyone has a strong suit.
Yeah. And you're people smart too. Like, you're fun to be around.
Thank you.
And you're just like a kind, nice guy. So it's like,
I appreciate that.
Yeah. That is an intelligence measurer, I think.
Yeah. We've all met those people that are very socially awkward, and they're usually the ones that are super intelligent,
book smart.
Yeah.
So there's the spectrum. There's the blend.
That's the spectrum. So anyway, you got this camera. That's awesome. That thank you again. My brother's handicapped, so I know struggles that people go through emotional support, actual, being handicapped and things like that. I know how hard it can be. So, but you get this camera and you're like, it's kind of funny. You're like 2020, because that's exactly when I started Stout Lawn and Pest, was 2020. I had a pretty solid job, and I was like, told my wife, well, you had one on the way then, or Olive was born?
She was born.
So you were in the same boat I was. You're like, no, I'm not going to do this career that is turning out well and seems stable.
Except, and this is the biggest shame in the education system of all, is the amount of money that teachers get compensated for their jobs is extremely low and extremely unfair. And the work that they're doing is incredible. And I just can't wrap my head around why there's such a ceiling of salary in education. And that was a hard thing for me, because I was like, I've got this kid on the way, and I'm making X amount of dollars, and I don't think it's going to be enough to raise my first. And I know I want more kids. Yeah. And so that was a big reason that I left too, because I was like, I need to go and see what else is out there if I can make more money to provide for my family.
Absolutely.
And so it's a shame, because had that school been able to pay me $100,000 a year, I'd probably still be there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I was so passionate about it, and I was making these great relationships with these kids. But once you have your own, you're like, wow, okay, you come first,
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't continue building on this family at this level. And I asked the supervisors, like, is there more money? And this is the best we can do. We're so sorry. And it wasn't their fault either. I don't know whose fault it is. And that's maybe the other problem. It's like, you feel like you're yelling into the void, like, someone just pay teachers more money.
It's like, I love when people, it's always, we're so divided as a country right now, and if we just have these conversations, most people agree on the same shit, and it's like so frustrating that it doesn't matter what side you're on. Everyone thinks teachers should get paid more.
Yeah, I think that's
everyone
universally
thinks we should take
upon.
care of our veterans.
Yes.
Everyone thinks we should. I could go on.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that it's just sad that. And now I feel like our school system is a mini political system. Mm. The people at the top are just the people at the top, and they're not doing the work.
Yeah.
And the people that's the problem in our industry, the people that are not doing the work, got their hands dirty, are just, they don't have any clue what it is to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's upsetting. And they make these rules and policies, and they don't take account real life. Yeah. It's all on a piece of paper, and it's all on you're sitting in a boardroom making decisions for hundreds or even thousands of students, and it's, I don't know, it's sad, but we could go on about that. But anyway, so you got this camera, which is awesome. And then, this new career was born.
Yeah. So I was like, this is it. This is the time, like, new kid, the pandemic, like I saw the clear-cut path to take the leap. And I just put myself out there on social media, which I already had a following from with my music and things like that. And I was just like, I was just freelancing. Like, hey, I'll shoot pretty much.
Not knowing your price.
Not at all. I was all over the map. I'd go shoot something for $250. I'd go shoot someone would be like,
we talk a lot of small business, and looking at that camera, people.
Yeah.
Know how much you should charge.
Yes. I'm still learning. I'm not
This
good
is
at
probably
it.
cheaper than I should be paying Luke for this right now. So he's going to bill me for this one, and then probably the next one.
And I'm going to be
more.
like, oh, you know what, man? Like, I was
had
a
so much
guest on it
fun.
too. Like, that's content for me. Like, knock a couple $100 off the price. Like, that's me. That's why I suck at being a business owner.
Yeah, that's why I have Steve. That's why I have Steve.
I don't suck at being a business owner, but like, I just have a, yeah.
Well, you have a brand, like, and that's funny. We're going to get sidetracked. Who cares? You have a brand, right? Which you want to uphold and keep, and you're genuine about it, and so am I.
Yeah.
Where Steve is the yang to that. Mm-hmm. Steve calls you when they owe us money. Steve will say, no, we're not coming out to do that service. We're not doing this. I'm more of, like you said, I'm just like the people. I love pleasing people.
And that's who I'm hoping my Chris can be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like him and I have a good yin and yang.
Yes.
So
that's good.
You know what I mean? Because I get a little overwhelmed with the backside of the business, the booking, the scheduling, just invoicing, accounting, just taking the calls with clients, setting up the production schedule. Like when I started, and still to this day, I do everything.
Yeah.
And it's just too much. And that's, I think, something that as a business owner I could be way better at, is just like letting go,
Delegating.
and delegating.
It's the hardest. We're at a very particular growth period here at Stout Lawn Care where we are bigger than the small company, and we are definitely smaller than the big company.
Yeah.
And we have a choice, and I have to let go of a lot of things. Scheduling is one of them, right? That's a big deal in our industry. Same with you. Like you're gonna have Chris Lerch fill your schedule up. Like it's tough. It's tough to take on those things.
Yep.
All right. If you have listened this far, I really appreciate it. This podcast is brought to you by Tick and Skeeter Deleter, an all-natural, organic insecticide that works very well. We love them. They've been great to us. We use it in our program. Brian and Steph over there, family-owned, family-operated. They're great people. They can explain their product way better than I can. I know it's made with all kinds of essential oils, cedar oil, peppermint oil, all this stuff. It leaves a great smell in your yard, and it also is a very good natural deterrent, and it does knock down your bugs, mosquitoes, things you don't want around your house. So look them up, Tick and Skeeter Deleter, and please, I don't know.
Support them. They are great people too. I can attest to that because I shot some content for them thanks to you.
Brian
and then I also, while shooting content for you, got to experience the aroma that comes from Tick and Skeeter Deleter.
Yes, you did.
And it was phenomenal. I was
great.
telling my wife about it this morning. She took me out for birthday coffee. It's my birthday today.
Happy birthday.
Thanks,
I'm sorry.
man. Thanks.
I should remember that. Let's see.
Listen.
I thought I was a nice guy.
37. It's like very anti.
That's one of the worst.
Yeah.
It's one of the worst.
Feels like, yeah. I mean, it's great, but it's like very just
You're 40, by the
inconsequential.
way.
Yeah, I'm 40.
Like once you turn 35 is fun, and then 36 through 39, you're just turning 40 every year.
You see these grays? I'm 40.
Listen, I don't want to talk about facial hair.
But yeah, no, they're great people.
Yes.
And their product smells really great because when I was filming you guys apply it to Steve's backyard, I was like, this is phenomenal.
Listen,
all natural.
It works.
It works.
Think about I like to tell people it's basically a soap, and think about if a mosquito's flying around and you hit it with this soap, it clogs up their system and they die.
Yeah.
And the aroma that it creates is a natural deterrent, just like why they teach you to or tell you to plant lavender plants in your garden or this or that to keep mosquitoes away. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
So we love them. We love them. So we're getting into your small business thing, right?
Yeah.
So you didn't price anything the right way.
Right.
And that was probably a hard lesson to learn pretty quick.
And that's still my struggle. And this is where we were. We were talking about letting go and delegating. But I think herein lies my problem, is that I don't charge enough to be able to delegate and compensate the delegee appropriately to where I feel like I'm like, hey.
Well, that's where Chris can come in, because at this point you need systems in place to keep you booked, to keep you production going, and then it turns into a different beast, and that's what you have to be scared of, especially someone that's as creative as you and like as brand conscious as I am. I can spend too much money on my brand. You can spend too much time on your brand. Yeah. Right. Where it's still a business. You got to flip them. You got to flip these jobs, and I've learned that over the last 5 years and 15 years in the lawn care. Is the first 10 years of my career, I was so nuts about everything. Like I like every complaint, everything that went wrong, everything that went well. I was high, low, high, low.
You saw me this morning when the Memorial Day email blast went out. It's not Memorial Day. It's 4th of July.
It's 4th of July in a couple of days. See, but
that was something I had delegated, and it went wrong. And now I'm back in my mind. I'm like, you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. But that's the wrong mentality right now. I just need to coach and correct.
You need to train. In my eyes, I train people to do better. And did I run a tree over 2 weeks ago with my machine? Yeah. Sure did. Yeah. We all make mistakes.
Did I film a podcast a couple weeks ago? 3 episodes that I produced for these great women. They own these privé salons on the main line. Filmed 3 episodes, and I got home and I hadn't captured any of the audio. So we had to reshoot it, and I gave them 3 episodes on the house.
Yeah, you had to.
And but that was, it's on me.
Yeah.
But was now double the time for $0 of the dollars, and I was like,
That's
like,
not good.
how am I doing
And
this
my baby's
at this
being
stage in
born.
the game? Like, and they were so cool about it, luckily,
Yeah.
because people
Yeah.
can get pissed about that. That's
Yeah.
their time too.
100%.
It's not just my
and that's,
time.
It's not one episode. It's not just one
Three
little
episodes, like 3
That's a lot of
40-minute
content.
episodes.
A lot of thought process goes into the, how the conversation
Yes.
flows. You got to have that whole conversation again. Does things
Yeah.
get?
So thank you, Monica, Heather,
Yeah.
and Alicia.
You're good people.
You are.
Shit happens.
It does. And
So
like
this
and
tree I ran over real quick. This tree I
Yeah,
ran over
yeah.
it no longer exists in Pennsylvania. You can't.
it was the last one. It's extinct.
Exist was the wrong word. It's banned in Pennsylvania. They're considered the invasive species. A tree.
You did Pennsylvania a favor.
Yeah, I took one of the however million, but Home Depot sold these a couple of years ago. They're just terrible trees, and it was just hilarious. But anyway, so yeah,
You
where
just
were we?
knocked it out.
I came down the hill way too fast, and it was like the tree's like 4 or 5 years old, so you think it'd be like sturdy. And I guess that's why these trees are like banned and they can't sell them in Pennsylvania because they're just shit trees. And it was like,
What type of tree, can I ask?
see, I knew you were going to ask, and I can't remember the name of it. It's a
Text me later.
people on the podcast and hopefully YouTube can
Comment below if you know what tree Chris is talking about. What's the shitty tree that
was banned
is
in Pennsylvania
banned in PA?
as an
Trivia
invasive tree.
question.
Yeah, I'll think of it. Who cares? Yeah, no one.
Yeah, but we mess up, and train, correct.
Are
and
you
continue?
with this with Chris? You have your creative side and your design side, right? Mm-hmm. And you do all the editing, you do all the filming and all that. Mm-hmm. Is Chris really just a creator with you? Obviously, I know he's helpful in that, but is he really just kind of booking things and growing your network and growing your market? Is that the idea?
Well, Chris and I, it's funny because like I feel like the thing that's been holding us up for a while is like the name of our business, but we haven't fully like taken the leap to where like we have everything under one umbrella, which gives me a little bit of anxiety right now because I'm like, okay, I have Luke O'Brien Creative, which is my business, and under that umbrella, I do marketing, consulting, I do video production, podcast production, I shoot weddings, I do family photo sessions, I do headshots, like I'm still like freelancing, but just under that umbrella. But then with Chris, I'm doing mostly just content creation for local small businesses. All those things could easily just be under this one umbrella. And we did land on a name recently. We're gonna call our marketing agency / like media house production services, like all those things I just named, local, LOCL, Luke O'Brien, Chris Lerch. Just kind of makes sense. And we were just beating our heads against the wall. Like, what's a cool name? And we were our name doesn't need to be like crazy because it's more about the people that we're servicing. So like, let's
100%.
just land on something, and it's just a backdrop.
Yeah.
The names that matter are Stout Lawn Care, Anna Marie's, whoever we're shooting for. That's who we should be uplifting. So let's stop like making it like
you're getting too finite. Like it's just.
But also, Chris has a full-time job. And I am so busy, as we just discussed, like doing all these things under that umbrella that like we haven't really stepped back to be like, hey, let's combine this. Let's LLC. Let's invoice under one roof. Let's just like move forward in this one direction.
That's so funny because we just got off. Me and Steve got off the phone with his father-in-law. Been a businessman for a long time, and we were asking him about that exact thing. Like, what do we do? Do we open up a trust? Do we want a corporation? How do we put all this? We want to put all this together. How do we continue to grow it? And it's funny because like it's a big step because there's lawyers involved. There's a big amount of money that you have to put out to really make sure that you do this the right way. Like, because if you guys are going to be partners in any way, there's shares involved. There's this involved. There's hey, is Luke O'Brien Creative under this umbrella? Is Hello 422 under this umbrella?
Right. That's the other thing. He has that going on too. So how do you define?
And that's not an easy thing to do.
It's not easy. And
if you get the answer to that, let me know.
Yes, and right back at you.
Yeah.
If Steve's father-in-law comes through, like,
hey, this is what you need to do.
Because it feels good. It feels like the promised land. Like we've now clearly defined who we are. Now we're moving in one direction. But that's really just like when the work starts. Like it's already But it would be nice to have that sort of peace of mind and that like those clearly drawn lines. But we're going through that now as we form a new business too. And this is another thing with Not Pizza.
Yes.
Like, and this is a beautiful partnership because it's me and Chris, and then we have two other business partners, John Giannopoulos and Randy McKinley.
Yep. And
John and Randy are older.
By the way, super successful business people. Sly Fox Brewing. I'm a patron, a customer. I love their stuff. Hashtag shout outs to Sly Fox.
Yes.
They do great things. They're obviously super successful businessman. I'm sure you can learn a lot from them. So that's
exactly
hearing that is a good thing because I think that mentorship, my next podcast, I'm going to have a guy named Chris Brown on, and he runs a landscaping fertilizer company up in Connecticut. And I hope he becomes more and more of a mentor and someone that I can lean on. And it sounds like those two guys can be, and that's
yes.
There's nothing more valuable than meeting these people and seeing how they run their business and getting advice from them.
It's awesome. It's in so many ways, this Not Pizza thing is like a huge opportunity, and that is one way for sure. Like John and Randy are really challenging Chris and I on things. You know, Randy specifically because he comes from a marketing background. So John is great to have because Chris and I are like, we'll shoot this kind of video. We're going to call it this. The cans are going to look like this. And John's like, I'll get us the LLC. I'll set us up with a bank account. I'm going to get the lawyers to come up with, you know, if one of us dies, here's what happens.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh yeah, we got to figure out all that stuff too.
Yeah.
So we have a really good balance, and it allows Chris and I to focus on marketing and creative and also some of the business. And it allows John to fulfill that role. And then Randy, with his marketing background, has been challenging Chris and I because we started announcing, hey, follow Drink Not Pizza, and we want to do this sort of like build in public approach to it, where people feel like they're a part of the process. You know, comment below like what flavors you want to see, or comment below if like do you like label A or label B, you know, for this can, and like getting people involved and building a community around it, I think is what ultimately makes people feel like a loyalty to your brand.
It's a brand.
Yeah,
it's a brand, and it's very hard to create a brand these days.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard. It's very, it's I would say almost impossible.
Because it's so accessible.
Yeah, everything.
That to do it right and well is like, all right, let's see what you got.
But
like,
it's
challenge.
fearful because even if you do it right, even if you do it to the best of your ability, it could, especially with, you know, I think with the background, with the people that you have behind you, I don't think I'm not doubting you at all, but I'm saying there is a fear there when I open Stout Lawn Care. Like, I can do everything right, but is it going to work?
Totally. I mean, that's to go back to the very beginning of our conversation. There's a parallel between that and the pursuit of music. Like, you could be the most talented, even hardworking, good-looking. You could have the whole thing, the whole package, but you're just in the wrong place not in the right place at the right time. You know what I mean? Because for like. Just take Justin Bieber as an example, like super talented, very young, and you know, put this video on YouTube, and Scooter Braun saw it in Atlanta and flew him down and was like, I'm going to manage you, and built him to what he is today, right? Yeah. So like you could create the best brand, the best product, the best thing, but you just might not hit that. Those stars might not align for you, and
100%.
You know,
and that's
so there's
why
an
it's
element
important.
Of luck, I think, in things.
And that's why your network and the people that you meet along the way is so important.
Totally,
because every time you meet that person, you're creating a little like web right there, and a little web right there, and they might remember you for this, or they might remember you for that, and it's just so important. That's why I want to start this podcast. It's like basically we're encapsulating what this is about, and small businesses, and I don't know. Being
the network is so important. Like right now at the stage of Not Pizza, we're really relying heavily on Chris and I's networks, which happen to be really strong. Like Chris knows everyone, you know, and like I have a great network from my music and everything that I've built up into this point. And Chris even said the other day, he's like, I was driving in and I was just thinking, like, is everything I've done with Hello 422 just so that Not Pizza can make it to the next level? And like, because if we were just two guys starting it and we had, you know, no friends or family that like root for us, it'd be a much bigger hill to climb.
It's almost like you built the foundation before you needed the house, and you didn't even know you were doing
and we didn't
it.
know the house was coming, you know, like, and that's another way in which this is a really big opportunity. going back, one, we said the mentorship element of it. And like I was saying, with Randy, like Chris and I are starting to put videos out, and Randy's challenging us in really healthy ways. Like, hey guys, like, does this video look too much like that other video? And are people going to be confused? And we're like, good call.
Yeah.
You know, or, hey, let's just have like a blue sky meeting where we throw out like terminology that we associate with, you know, so that when we are on social media.
Like canned cocktails, like.
Yeah. So that's a good example, because we were just talking yesterday, instead of using the term canned cocktail, let's call it a vodka drink. Because canned cocktail might make people think like, oh, they're doing like margaritas and Moscow mules.
That's what
like
I think.
A cocktail.
That's
It's not that. It is a vodka drink, much more like a Surfside or a High Noon. So we're doing an iced tea vodka and a lemonade vodka.
Yep.
And those are our 2 non-carbonated drinks. And then we're doing an orange crush and a berry crush, which are like our hard seltzers, our vodka seltzers.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I've been following you, the Flavor Man. What a great name. I mean, like, dude.
And they're awesome too. Like the people that
Are
work
they
there,
like?
Yeah, they're just like into making flavors.
Of
they're
like
so
jobs,
sweet. They're like
jobs you
sweethearted.
think of.
Yeah.
And then you hear someone named Flavor Man, like that's his job. Like, damn, man,
And they're
I
a
wish
big company. They're in Louisville, Kentucky.
they have like
They
probably
have like
like a
6 people on the Zoom call with us, and everyone's like, hey, strawberry, blueberry, raspberry. Okay, that's berry crush.
Like
What are we thinking for the orange crush?
chemists that are probably paid way more than you and me to figure these things out.
Yeah, they're awesome people, and they're really just developing the recipe for us, and then we're gonna the product is gonna be produced at the brewing company, because John got his distilling license, so it's gonna be, the vodka will be ours.
Yep.
And then we will just be using the flavoring elements and coloring elements that Flavor Man is helping us come up with. And it's so interesting because you just drink a drink. You don't think about what goes into it. But behind every drink, there's a team of people like, how can we make this the best, right?
Yeah.
And as we're developing, you got something.
I just think like, and then I open up a can and I'm like, who made this shit?
Yeah. Especially some
White Claw, I can't stand them.
Well, here's the thing about White Claws, and this is something that I've learned in this process. White Claw is a malt beverage. It's not, there's no vodka in there. It's malt liquor. So much like a Smirnoff Ice or a Zima, that's what White Claw is. Surfside is made with stateside vodka. So it's a vodka-based drink as opposed to a malt. If you see it in a beer store, like Mike's Hard Lemonade,
that's the rule.
That's malt.
Yeah.
If you any of these drinks, Hoop Tea, that's malt. But if you see it in the liquor store, Surfsides, High Noons.
So a question about that. So
vodka-based.
is it because it's the alcohol, obviously, but how high is the alcohol content on a High Noon? I just don't know.
4.5%.
So it's the same as a beer.
Correct. But it's liquor, right? So you go to a liquor store, and this is just Pennsylvania.
I know.
Yeah.
This is so terrible. It's so annoying. And it's so much more expensive.
Yeah.
But I could buy it at Sly Fox, though, right?
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah, because they have a liquor distribution license as well.
Yeah.
But in Pennsylvania, there's beer stores and there's liquor stores.
Yeah.
So ours will be sold in liquor stores.
Nice.
And at Sly Fox's, and hope any bars and restaurants that sell vodka-based products.
Yeah.
You know.
How far along is this process? Do we have a date on cans sold? When we can sell them?
We're hopeful that it'll be this fall.
Yeah.
Like we wish it was this past spring. Like ASAP is the answer.
Yeah.
But there's so many moving parts. I mean, we started the conversation about starting this brand probably like the fall of last year. So things just take so much time, you know what I mean? And we're being decisive and we're moving things along, but we think the fall we're hopeful for.
That's exciting.
And we're just pumped. Like
maybe Can Jam?
That'd be cool, potentially. Not pizza. At Can Jam. That'd be great because they're in cans.
Yeah.
They're going to be in beer-sized cans. So you know how a lot of these hard seltzers are in the tall, skinny cans?
Yeah, maybe buy a new. My wife and myself had to buy a new koozie or a little thing.
Yeah.
The little hard ones.
I know.
You got the skinny cans.
You can use your beer koozies for not pizza cans. It's the same shape as a beer can.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I like it.
So that'll be a differentiator, and obviously the name is a differentiator.
Yeah.
We kicked around so many ideas, and initially like the idea was like, hey, let's we want to do this product, and we see a lot of like beach theme stuff out there. Like let's figure something out that we could do, and we were like, and we had like multiple just brainstorming sessions, like what could this be, and Not Pizza was thrown out as a joke originally, but then the more we thought about it, we were like, there's just so much like fun we can have within this, like the type of content we can shoot could just be so playful, and like that's why people want to have a drink, to kind of kick back and laugh a little bit, and like that's kind of like where we're steering the brand, and this community is just like a group of people who just want to laugh and enjoy, and like Not Pizza is it just lends itself to that. It's funny.
I love it. I love the idea. I love the concept. When I was thinking of ideas for Stout Lawn Care, and I wanted to call it Lemon Zest Lawn Care. Just because
sticky.
It's sticky, right?
Yeah, people are remembering Lemon Zest Lawn Care.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, but it kind of does at the same time.
It's fresh.
Lemon zest, baby.
I want
fresh. My lawn to smell like lemons and just feel like lemon
I would
zest.
have to like put like lemon essential oil in every application.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's like terrible for the turf. It burns it or some shit like
it's like acidic and just like destroys
I have no
lawns.
business after the first 3 applications. I kill all of them. So lemon zest. So now I actually, it's still Root Zone podcast. There's a little thing underneath it that says Lemon Zest Productions. So
cool.
I still have it in my head that if this ever blows up and millions of people start watching it, I do have a little Lemon Zest.
We all have, like, as entrepreneurs, we all have little things like that we can't let go of. Like Feather Life is like that's like everything.
Yeah.
Like, so when I at my concert, I was like, this is a Feather Life production. Yeah. I just use Feather Life. That's my thing.
That's just what it is. So
Lemon zest.
Lemon zest. It's like my favorite ingredient and shit.
Yeah. Except for lawn applications.
Yes.
It's not your favorite ingredient.
Ingredient for like my
foods,
not lawns
and beverages.
I don't know. Maybe it's good for lawns. We'd have to run an experiment. I don't know how lemon oil would.
Maybe we'll do a Stout Lawn Care Not Pizza limited edition collaborative hard seltzer lemon zest.
What? You're talking about?
Who wouldn't drink that?
I've been in my brain trying to think of, like, the only problem is, like, our season is, spring, summer, fall. I always, like, because we're Stout Lawn Care, I want to be like, hey, Sly Fox, hey, Well Crafted, will you make an anniversary and call it, the Stout Lager or the Stout? But it just never worked, because it's like, who's thinking about Stout Lawn Care in the wintertime when you're drinking a heavy stout beer?
Yeah.
So it's like, but the lemon zest thing.
I do love when things just align. Like,
yeah, it's fun.
It's fun.
Well, Not Pizza, # Not Pizza, right?
At Drink Not Pizza. Give us a follow.
Yeah.
I'm just excited because it's a business too now that, like, I have ownership obviously of my own, of Luke O'Brien Creative. I'm the 100% owner of that, but it's a service-based industry. So it's like, and I can get more and more clients and grow that, but this is cool because it's a product, right?
Yes.
Like I was saying with music, there was never a product that's like, hey, you can go and buy this and directly support my business, but now I'm developing this product that we're going to sell, and I'm a 25% owner of the business. So rather than just like someone paying me to market something on a retainer basis, it's like, no, if this grows, then I grow with it, which is super exciting.
It's one of the reasons I switched companies, or I left. I had a great job. I loved where I was at. I was making great money, but like you said,
it keeps hope alive. You're like, this could be bigger than me.
This could be bigger.
This could be.
Maybe it's somewhere where my son works, or maybe I sell it in 10 years for a chunk of change where I can eventually fill out a couple dreams that I have with my wife. Like, where does it take me? And not working for yourself, it's I don't know. It's tough.
Everyone's different, right?
Yeah, I'm terrible at saving money. I'm terrible at doing things like that and finances. So, like, I think of this business as an opportunity for me to really grow as a person and financially. And that's, it sounds like, Not Pizza is going to be, I'm excited for you because, like you said, it is a product. And if it's done right, I know you're going to do it right. I know you and Chris, and I know the guys from Sly Fox. I know how well it's going to be done. And I'm so excited for you guys because it's just, like you said, it's a product. It can be sold here, and it can be sold
nationwide.
It can be
globally.
Sold globally, and there's no, Stout Lawn Care can take me a certain region. I can grow it. I can buy other companies and get bigger and bigger. But, like, with a product, you can get it. You have millions of options for customers,
right?
Hundreds of millions of options for customers, and if you can, that's exciting.
Yeah,
and especially where you're starting at this ground floor, especially with the mentors you have, Chris being a part of the team, I don't think there's I have no doubt. I have no doubt it'll be successful.
Yeah, we feel the same way. We're like really, really feel confident about all the choices we've made so far, from the name and the branding and like our marketing strategy and where we're taking it all. It's going to be, like I said, it just keeps hope alive. Like I'm so excited to see where it goes.
Me too. Well, look, we're about out of time here. Luke, I really appreciate you jumping on. I appreciate you coming filming this, first of all.
Yes.
And then randomly being a guest. We're in not my shop, but my neighbor's shop.
It's a great
shop.
#
Bucks Customs. He makes the finest interior in the world, and I'm not kidding. He ships cars from everywhere. He's an incredible talent. But thank you for letting us use his shop. I really appreciate you being on here and jumping on, having a good conversation. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Thanks a lot. All right.